In this introductory video, we are going to take a look at three topics. I want to show you where you can get instructions on accessing a free version of LabVIEW for you for all SNHU students. I want to open a LabVIEW file and start a new VI, as well as save that and show you how you can navigate the two windows in LabVIEW, and then some basic tool navigation to get you started. I will also be linking the NI tutorial videos, and then we'll continue on through some more specific LabVIEW tools in future videos. So first, I'm going to show you where you can find the instructions for downloading or installing LabVIEW on your personal laptop or PC. So on the L drive, which everyone should have access to, however, I will also post these on the Brightspace page. On the L drive, there is a software folder. I know you have a lot fewer visible folders there, but go to software, and LabVIEW is the site license instructional video instructions in that software folder for now. If you open this LabVIEW for students, it will explain that, and that's what you can find also on the Brightspace page. But the piece that you need that's in this folder is the license. And so the instructions will take you through how you create your account, where you navigate to, and then this is the folder that the instructions are referencing. So you can install LabVIEW for free on your personal computer. So that's the very first thing I wanted to make sure everyone knew. You don't need to do a free trial. You don't need to buy a copy. You have access to a licensed copy through SNHU. So then the other thing is opening LabVIEW. So on any computer in CETA, you should be able to go to the Start window, which is just in the corner. I don't think it's going to show up on my screen here for the video. You can, however, open LabVIEW just by going to the Start menu, typing in LabVIEW, and this is the screen that opens. You might be inclined to create a project. I find that is confusing, so I don't suggest doing that. I just come up, File, New VI. VI stands for Virtual Instrument. This is the program you'll create in LabVIEW every time you want to do a measurement task. So New VI here. And what you should see is two windows that open. So let me arrange these a bit. You get a front panel. That is your user interface. This is the front bit of your app. It's what whoever's using your program will see. And then you have all the code in the background in the block diagram. So every program, every VI contains a front panel and a block diagram. So once you open a new program, you might want to save this in a place that you can access it later, whether that's a flash drive or very carefully saving to your OneDrive, making sure you have linked to your SNHU OneDrive. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in my OneDrive folder as a test VI for EG207. You can call it whatever you want, and then save OK. So what I want to show you now is when I close my block diagram, my program stays open. I can get my block diagram back by going to Window, Show Block Diagram. So it's still there. And I don't have to save both windows. They're connected to the same .vi file. If I close my front panel, the program closes entirely. And so when I go to open it again, it only opens the front panel. And regularly students ask me, where did my block diagram go? It is in the background, and you have to open it separately, but it is part of the same file. So if you save your file, it saves both the front panel and the block diagram. Okay, so anything that the user sees when they're running the program goes in your front panel. Anything that's in the background that makes things function, think math or measurement acquisitions or collecting numbers, right? All of that happens in the block diagram. That's where you put your code. And so now you need to know how to get those tools open. If you right-click on the front panel, you get controls, and you can pin this window open. I find it's more it's easier to navigate when you pin it open. So controls are things that the user would interact with. It could be input boxes for numbers. It could be knobs and dials. It could be output information. So you have an output number, numerical output. You have meters, say like a speedometer. You can do all sorts of inputs and outputs that are numeric. We also have Boolean, so these are switches. They're on or off. There are outputs, which are just lights, inputs that can toggle or switch. You can have buttons, such as an OK button or a stop button. And most of what we're going to deal with on the front panel is right up here in numeric and Boolean. We will sometimes use, graphs. A waveform chart is usually what we'll use there. And so almost everything that we need for our front panel will be found on this modern toolbar. So now we have the block diagram. And again, I will right click to open functions and pin it open. And then there are all sorts of tools here. Many of them are found on this programming heading. So we have structures. We can run something continuously until a condition changes. We can have if statements. If something is true, do one thing. If it's false, do another. We can write formulas much like you would write in MATLAB. It's a very similar script. And we can do things in a particular order. We can do things at a particular time for a number of loops. Maybe I want to do something 10 times. So those are structures. I can do math, right? So I have these very simple math tools. Oops, I keep forgetting that my screen is a little bit different over here. You even have a random number generator. You have some constants. This is the background stuff that a user would not see when they were interacting with your program. We have some basic Boolean stuff, but we probably won't get into Boolean logic too much. We might want to compare things. Are they equal? Is one greater than or less than? Do I want to select? Okay, so there's a lot of tools in here. I can't possibly show you all of them right now. One thing I want to show you is the search function, the search under function. So say you want to multiply, and you just can't remember where those numeric tools are. I type in what I want to do and double click on the top option and it brings me to that tool. Or say I know there's a calculator in LabVIEW and I just can't remember where it is. This might bring me there. There it is. So it's actually called formula and it works just like a scientific calculator. So what else? Maybe I know that I want to do an exponential function. So I want to square something, or I want to do a log, or right? So here is an e function exponential. Here's x to the y. Here's 2 to the x or 10 to the x, right? So there's all sorts of things that involve exponents. Or maybe I just want, well, x to the y would be a typical power function, right? Power of x, power of 2, and so there you go. So if you know what you're trying to do and you click on search and you just type as close as you can get, right? I want a string, and that's going to remind me there's a whole palette of strings. So if you can get close, you can search, and then you can look through the return results. So that's the basics. Now, how do you use any of these tools? It's drag and drop software. We are now at 9 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up in about a minute. So let's say I want to have an input, a numeric control. I'm going to drag this onto my front panel. In fact, you know what I usually do? I put my controls in front of my block diagram, so now I have my front panel. So I'm going to drag a numeric control on here. And then let's say I want a chart to show me all of the inputs. Okay. And then maybe I'll do a chart that shows, I don't know, how about we add them all up? Okay. So I have input. Oh, you know what? Instead of a second chart, let's do a numeric output. And I'm going to call this X. Oops. we'll do x squared, and then this will be okay. So I have three things in my front panel. Here I have oops, now I'm going to move my functions out of the way. I have input x, I have output x squared, and I have x values entered. So I'm just going to wire. So what I did there was I grabbed the output of my input box, and I wired that as input to my chart. And then it's also going to go into a tool. We'll go to numeric, and we're trying to do square. So I have a square tool, and I'm going to take this wire and carefully wire it to the input of that numeric tool, and then put that in my output. And the last thing I'm going to do here real quick, oops, I don't want to search. I want a while loop so that this runs more than once. And then I'm just going to add a control here, a stop button. And that shows up right on my front panel. So sometimes, and I went really fast there, so I will show you in the next video how to do some of that. But I can, oops, I can run, and let's add. Now, this is moving too fast. So in the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how I wired this up. But that was a quick show of how you can put together some simple math. You can put together some simple controls and indicators and charts with a stop button. And when I click that stop button, it stops. We're at 12 minutes. That's more than enough for our intro video. Check in the next video for a step-by-step, a little bit slower on how I can do some of these drag and drop programming setups.